Popular consensus is that cinema's purpose is to be so immersive, we forget we're watching a neat compilation of shots, scenes, and sequences, losing ourselves to the magic. But sometimes there comes an unbelievable scene that truly stands on its own, begging to be studied, revisited, and rewatched ad nauseum. So with that said, I am Gareth, this is What Culture, and here are 10 awesome movie scenes we can't stop rewatching. Number 10. The Alli Fights, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. The Mission Impossible films helped create the template for the Fast and Furious' more ridiculous franchise entries, so it shouldn't be too shocking to say that the latest installment, Dead Reckoning, is wildly OTT. Nonetheless, among the blend of CG and Tom Cruise extreme stunt action, there is actually a lot of bankable acting and action from a sizable cast, unlike the consistently hammy contributions of their Fast counterparts. While the performances range from tastefully comic from Simon Pegg through to enigmatically evil from Issei Morales, without a whole lot of shared ground between them, Pom Klementieff manages a different route, starring in a supporting role as the mysterious, animalistic, and near-silent French assassin Paris. And this provides the fuel for the film's most engaging scene. Series protagonist Ethan Hunt battles indiscriminate henchmen in the alleyways of Venice, on his way to a showdown with Paris, who lurks like a vaudevillain gangster from the 19th century. Klementieff manages the physicality of the part with gusto, proving a match for Ethan in close quarters, all while maintaining a wide-eyed, Joker-like madness that gives the scene that extra edge. Add that this is intercut with Grace and Gabriel's equally up-close and personal bridge-top knife fight, and it's one of the most brutal and intense fights the series has ever offered, with not a bungee, train, or Burj Khalifa in sight. Now I want to know, what do you think is the greatest fight scene in movie history? Is it something from a Mission Impossible movie or something else? You let me know in the comment section down below, baby. Number 9. Faith, the Rules of Attraction. Despite being adapted from a Bret Easton Ellis novel, and having been helmed by Pulp Fiction co-creator Roger Avery, The Rules of Attraction doesn't get as much of an airing as it deserves. An anti-college movie, Rules takes an irreverent and occasionally transgressive approach to the established formula of wild parties, budding romances, and casual drug use, via a trio of intentionally apathetic students, Lauren, Paul, and Sean, at a rural New Hampshire college. Amid the degradation and debauchery, there is one scene that stands out though, thanks to some whip-smart editing and a soundtrack that almost didn't happen. Visiting their mothers in the city, Paul and Dick wind up sharing a hotel, and things get a little silly between the closeted boys on the run-up to dinner. The pair frolic, dance, and throw themselves around on the hotel room beds to George Michael's Faith, while their mothers wait at the dining room table self-medicating. The genius of the scene lies in the sharp cut between the dining and hotel rooms, stop-starting the music and ramping up the comedy for the hilarious dinner table scene that follows. As if that wasn't enough, the scene was never even meant to exist either, as Avery shot it spontaneously on set with the music, and then wrote George Michael to beg for the music rights. Number 8. The Run Dance Fight, Argyle. Of all of Matthew Vaughn's filmography, his recent spy caper Argyle has received the worst reception from audiences, despite assured performances from Sam Rockwell, Bryce Dallas Howard, Henry Cavill, Bryan Cranston, and Sam Jackson. Playing out like Mr. Right meets Stranger Than Fiction, Argyle inserts us into the life of writer Ellie Conway, whose prophetic series of global super spy books wind up attracting the attention of the real organization of global evil, The Division. This compelling premise is underpinned by an increasingly absurd number of twists that, in spite of the fairly self-aware setup, make the film feel as if it's written by AI. Nevertheless, among the many ill-advised twists and turns, there is a strong dedication to crafting killer scenes. One in particular likely caught your attention and never let go. A gunfight scene designed around its aesthetics, pairing impeccable choreography with coloured smoke, cartoonish violence, romantic moments, practical gags, and a hail of bullets. Set to Leona Lewis's cover of Snow Patrol's Run, Ellie and Aiden take on a small army of gun-toting henchmen, spinning, gliding, flipping, kicking, and maintaining balletic timing and movement throughout. And gosh darn if they don't pull off the best whirlybird ever seen. Majestic. Number 7. The Baby Doll Samurai Fight, Sucker Punch. Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch rode in at a time when digital technology had made the kind of advances necessary to produce an entire film traversing historical periods, sci-fi and fantasy setups, and gravity-defying sequences, all with one unified visual style that blends live action with CG. And while the film may not have been as warmly received as the director might have hoped, it nevertheless contains some nigh unparalleled scenes that demand revisiting. Emily Browning stars as Baby Doll, a young woman whose confinement to a psychiatric facility does not prevent her from stepping between fantastical, action-laden worlds in order to obtain the items she needs to escape. In by far the film's most rewatchable scene, Baby Doll, bedecked in an anime-inspired outfit and carrying a sword and sidearm, faces off against 3 giant samurai warriors, armed with a Gatling gun, rocket launcher, samurai swords, and a scythe. Snyder intentionally gave the film, and thus the scene, an almost 3D video game-like look that pushes the boundaries of immersion and 2D filmmaking. And while it may not be highbrow cinema, it offers up everything you could ever want. Speed metal guitar, check. Super slow-mo kills, absolutely. Lush two-tone, soft-focus visuals, say no more. Number 6, The Coffee Run, Baby Driver. Baby Driver would be any ordinary director's career best, but for Edgar Wright it's just another day at the office. Combining the director's penchant for savvy editing, deep-cut music choices, comedy-inflected action, and human-centered plots, the heist movie proves that British auteurs can make it big in Hollywood while still retaining their unique style. On top of that, the opening titles feature one of the most meticulously choreographed takes ever brought to the big screen. Baby, the tinnitus-suffering stunt driver supreme, nips out to get the heist crew their daily dose of Java. Earbuds in, music cranked, and with a spring in his step. But this is no normal coffee run, folks, as Wright captures it in one continuous revolving long take that moves perfectly in time with the soundtrack. Designed to look like an everyday street in motion, Baby dodges obstacles, vehicles, and pedestrians while dancing, shuffling, moving, and grooving to Bob and Earl's Harlem Shuffle, which itself is a refreshing choice, eschewing the better-known Rolling Stones version. Needless to say, the blocking, staging, and camera movements were meticulously planned, and the song was written into the script. And boy, is it something to behold. Thanks for checking out this video today, folks. Now hit that subscribe button down below for more of this awesome What Culture stuff on your screen. Or just keep rewatching old videos, why not? Number 5, The Disastrous Dinner, Triangle of Sadness. Hot off the back of his last Palme d'Or win for 2017's The Square, Ruben Östlund again scooped up the coveted Cannes prize with his follow-up feature Triangle of Sadness, which tears apart the pampered, privileged and deeply fragile lives of the ultra-rich via the medium of a disastrous super yacht sea voyage. The film's tipping point comes during the captain's dinner, which commences as the yacht passes through a violent storm. And if there is one scene that really sums up Triangle of Sadness, oh boy, it is this. Filmed at perpetually shifting canted angles, we are made to actively participate in the passengers' discombobulation as they gradually unspool, slipping from polite high society into what might, in a lesser film, be deemed toilet humor. Dinner becomes a nightmare of bodily fluids as guests vomit and experience bouts of diarrhea in response to the ship's movement and some janky seafood. And you know how it is, once one person goes, it's hard not to follow. The storm tosses the ship to and fro, the sewage system floods the corridors, and the power goes out. And where is the captain during all this? Debating the merits of communism versus capitalism with a rich businessman over the intercom, of course. A grand symphony of disaster. The scene is hysterically funny and, given the level of detail in its scatological elements, a gut-wrenching watch. But it's still difficult not to come back for seconds. Number 4, The Jack Rabbit Slims Twist Contest, Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino's second feature film, Pulp Fiction, didn't just embody the zeitgeist, it redefined it. Churning out mid-90s cool like nobody's business, the film popularized a new style of ultra-violent, non-linear cinema, drawing from influences as diverse as noir classic Kiss Me Deadly and survival thriller Deliverance. Right at the center of this whirlwind were John Travolta and Uma Thurman, starring as gun for hire Vincent Vega and gangsters Moll Mia Wallace. While not a dramatic moment, few scenes in the history of modern cinema have penetrated pop culture like the Jack Rabbit Slims dance competition, and we'll be damned if it ain't just a spot of good old-fashioned fun in the middle of an otherwise horrendously violent movie. Taken to the restaurant stage with a shimmy, a shake, and no shoes, Vincent and Mia boogie their way to a trophy with some truly groovy moves, the like of which wouldn't make the cut of your average indie crime picture. But while Tarantino only wanted them to do the twist, we have Travolta to thank for convincing the director to let him throw in a bunch of dances he grew up with, including the spin and the Batman. Without him, we might not still be returning to the scene 20 years on. Number 3, Feyd-Rautha's introduction, Dune Part 2. After a strong first entry into Denis Villeneuve's Dune series, high hopes were hung on Part 2's ability to get to the good stuff and give casual and die-hard fans alike a silver screen adaptation of Frank Herbert's epic novel series to cherish. Lucky then that the director and a cast of the best talent in Hollywood pulled out all the stops. Whilst there isn't a weak link to speak of amongst the cast, the characters, the visuals, or the action, there is one standout, infinitely rewatchable scene that rolls together the best of all these elements. In an extended introduction, which includes his first appearance on screen, and carries through into an outdoor arena fight for his birthday, Austin Butler's manic young villain Feyd-Rautha is delivered fully formed, and seemingly pre-packaged for entry into the annals of the greatest movie villains. The young Harkonnen grins, screams, and stabs his way across the screen, battling his family's prisoners in an arena while hundreds of thousands of spectators look on, offering a rapid insight into his character, his psyche, and his modus operandi. The visual design is also breathtaking, with a black and white palette for the outdoor scenes shot in infrared and caused in-universe by Gady Prime's Black Sun, and a wondrous blend of set and computer-generated design. Number 2, The Duel of the Fates, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. The Star Wars prequels have had something of a reappraisal from the fandom at large over the last decade or so, as nostalgia and a dislike of the new has set in, and references and continuations of those films have sprung up all over the place. Perhaps the most unfairly maligned of the 3 movies was The Phantom Menace, which disappointed the legions of fanboys who went into the cinema expecting to see a retread of the original trilogy. Nonetheless, there is no denying that it contains the best lightsaber battle of any Star Wars media. The Duel of the Fates pits Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn and his Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi against Sith Lord Darth Maul in a lightsaber duel in Naboo's Theed Palace. As The Phantom Menace is the only one of the prequels to be filmed on real celluloid, with a stronger mix of real locations and sets than its primarily blue-screen successors, the duel looks authentic and the stakes feel real. The well-paced choreography helps drive all this, and the contrast between Maul's dual-bladed acrobatic terror and the more traditional samurai stylings of the Jedi make it a battle for the ages. Add in John Williams' epic score from which the fight gets its name, and this is a scene that still feels essential 25 years on. Number 1, The Whole Shebang, Run Lola Run. German experimental thriller Run Lola Run works its magic with a constant tension that takes the narrative device of the ticking clock literally. But while the entire film is built around time, it utilizes a curious twist on the format. The titular Lola experiences the same 20 minutes in real time 3 times over, while trying to get 100,000 marks and reach her desperate boyfriend before he robs a supermarket. As if caught within a video game, when Lola dies or is struck by disaster, she is reset, along with the ever-present real-time clock. Making extensive use of long takes, repeated shots, and music set at 120 BPM, that's 2 beats per second, director Tom Tykwer engineered all elements in the film to move to the strict time limit of what is essentially just one scene played on repeat for the whole picture. And what a scene it is! The music and Lola's constant motion keep the action moving, and us on the edge of our seats, as Lola makes small tweaks and changes to ultimately alter the outcomes within this system, and leading her seamlessly through a store robbery, a bank robbery, and even her own death. It's fast, it's fatal, and it's something that, once you've seen it, you will not be able to stop rewatching, baby. So go and do it now, and then do it again.